Okay, for the first row, you're going to take about 8 to 10 feet of cord. Using only just black beads. And for your first row, you should have 10 of these beads sticking out, and then I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, so my first row has 10 beads sticking out right here. Now, normally we would add a bead right here for both cords, but instead we're going to take our cords right here and then feed it into the opposite bead. So the cord that was coming out of this bead, we're going to thread it through the top one, and vice versa for the top, feed it through the bottom. So usually when you do that, they kind of collide like this. So I'm just going to focus on one row at a time, and after I get so many beads on this side, then I'll thread through the top. So I'm going to go and do another row of black. I'm just going to finish the top part right here, just so we can focus on the bottom part later on, instead of doing like two things at the same time. So right now we have our first black stripe, and then we're just going to finish. This is the top part of our little bead. So our cord is over here on this side. We finished this row. Now I'm just going to skip a row, or a bead, I'm sorry. I'm gonna skip a bead. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna skip a bead by just placing the cord through one of the black beads, add a yellow bead, and then continue. Now I'm just gonna add my final bead for this row. Loop it through the black one and pull. Now I'm going to skip another bead and loop it through the yellow up top. skip once again. So this end is looking a little funny, and what you can do is, remember we didn't cross our top cord through our bottom right here, so we're just going to go ahead and do that if you want, just to kind of get it out of the way, and then we'll focus on this bottom piece later on. Now this is going to be our last row. When you're finished, you should have 5 rows of yellow for the top part of your bead, of your bee, I'm sorry, your bead. So you should have 5 rows of yellow for the top part of your bead. And then we're just gonna move on and do the bottom part. And make sure when you're done, you tie your end so it doesn't come loose. And then you just cut off any extra cord. And then we're going to start on the next row. So our yellow stripes are going to be a little bit thicker than our black. Because of the way that we made our bag, we're going to have like every other row end with like an odd kind of bead. So what we're going to have to do is just add a bead, because normally there would be one here and we would loop it through and start the next row, but since we don't have it, we're gonna have to make one. So add your bead and then loop it through the bottom. Okay, so loop it through the bottom right here, and then you're going to pull and kind of help adjust it a little bit. Then you're going to take your cord, and thread it through this bead right here. So it's coming out through here, thread it through. Then thread this out through the black bead right here. Pull, and then you can go ahead and thread it through the bead we just added, and then continue with your row. So you're probably going to have to do that every other row. I finished the body of my honeybee. So I have 3 black stripes and then 2 yellow thicker stripes. And on both sides of my panel, I should have 12 beads. Now to make the point of our honeybee, I'm going to just do what I did here, except I'm going to come to a point for the bottom part of the bead. So I'm going to skip a bead on either end so it decreases and comes to a point. But I'm only going to do 4 rows of yellow and then finish off the point in black. So I already started that process. Now I'm just going to skip. I wouldn't add another bead. I would just go ahead and just loop it through the bead that I just add and pull the cord. So if your bead pops out like this, just pull what was right here at the bottom and then it'll come right back. So then I'm just going to continue. Okay, so I have both my front and my back panel. Now I'm just going to make one long panel that goes around the honeybee so I can connect both the front and the back. So I'm just taking about 10 feet of cord and starting my panel, just holding the cord in between my index and my thumb. And I'm just going to mimic the stripes of the bee going all the way around. This panel is going to be 4 beads wide and 41 beads long. And I'm just going to mimic the pattern of my honeybee. And this is just going to be a regular panel. So we just have the 1 bead right here, instead of just leaving the 2 like how we did for our honeybee. So we have the 1 here and we're just going to add 41 rows. And just make sure both sides of your panel are even. Okay, so I went off camera and I finished my long panel. So it's going to wrap around our little honeybee like this, and then we're going to sandwich the back panel to the top like this. So make sure when you're attaching everything that you're paying attention to where the string is going, because I already had to relace my sides twice because I wasn't paying attention. So make sure everything pairs up together and that you're not getting ahead of yourself. Okay, I have this side attached. Now I'm just going to move on and attach the other side. So I attached all the sides to my Honeybee. So now I'm going to move on and make the wings. So I'm using yellow glitter pony beads, and I just, made a heart, and I'm going to tilt it on its side and attach it later. But for your first row, you're going to need 5 beads, and do not add the last bead for both cords. You want to keep your 5th bead on 2 separate cords like this. And what you're going to do is feed the cord that was at the bottom through the top, and what was at the top through the bottom. But we're just going to focus on this side first. So this side's going to be the bottom, and you're just going to add your beads normally for this row. Then you're going to skip a bead, and we're going to make the point of our heart. So don't add another bead, just skip and then thread for the next row. Okay, so you're going to skip a bead on either end until you come to a point. And then when you have the point of your heart, just pull, and then we're going to focus on the top part of the heart. So remember that cord that we didn't thread through the opposite bead? We're going to do that. And focus on the top part of the heart. So we're just going to add beads as normal. once you get to your end, you're going to start a new row. Okay, so for the heart, I have 3 beads on either side, and to even this out, I'm going to add a bead. Take the cord and thread it through the bead at the bottom. Then thread it through this bead right here. And back through this one. Pull. And then back through the bead that we just added. Like that. Now I'm going to make the peaks of the heart. No skipping for this row. Okay. Now for this new row, you are going to skip. Add a bead. And you're going to skip this middle bead right here. Do not add a bead. You're going to take your cord and thread it through this middle one, and then through this other bead, and pull, and then you're going to add your last bead. And then you have your heart. Take both your cords and get everything to one side. For the placement of my wings, I'm going to go up top right here, and on the second bead from the middle, I'm going to bring it down to the last yellow bead on the second stripe. So there, and then I'm going to do the same for the other side where it's the second bead in the middle, take it down, and it's going to be this bead right here, the last bead in my second stripe. And for my chain, I'm just using black beads for the petals and the gold glitter beads for the center of my daisy. So basically you're just going to take some cord and you're going to add 2 beads, then your 1 bead, which is going to be the center, and then another 2 beads, which will be the petals, and then an additional 2 beads, which is going to be the next flower, then your center, and then so for every cord you're going to add 2 beads for that cord, so each flower has its own petals, and then add the center. And for my strap, I'm going to make 24 flowers. If you need a more in-depth kind of explanation for the chain, I have videos where I spend a little bit longer explaining how to make the daisy chain. So when you're at your end, at your last flower, you just only need to add 2 beads, and then you're going to take your cord and cross the bottom through the top. And I recommend doing 1 cord at a time. So you're going to pull tight, and then you're just going to add a black bead. And every spot there needs to be 1. And then once you're done with the top, then you're going to focus on the bottom. You know, thread the cord through the bottom bead, and then add your black beads. I finished my chain, and I just tied off the ends right here, and I left the cord on because I'm going to use it to attach it to my bag. And I'm just going to try to get it as close to the middle as possible on my side. And I'm going to use the cord to thread to the bag from the strap. And then I'll do the same thing for the other side. So this is the finished product. I ended up adding ruffles, and I attached the wings, and then I even added a liner with the zipper. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked my bag.